safety standards that we are seeking, don't put it up. But if you put it up, you'll have to follow every element of what that means. My technical director, and here's a secret to you on my organization structure, administratively reports to me, but otherwise reports directly to Switzerland. Why is that? Because it doesn't give the leeway to any local commercial head to fiddle with either the quality, the recipe, or the safety of the product.
Okay, sir.
Therefore, quality comes at a price. Sometimes people ask me the question, why aren't you as cheap as X, Y, and Z? I don't disparage anybody's quality, but for my quality, I need to charge a certain money. Quality doesn't come cheap, sir. You also know it from your own life and career. That quality doesn't come cheap, which means I have to stick to those standards that I need to stick to. And during this entire crisis that we went through and the numerous times that we go through these brushes, I maintain the same principle because I know my backbone is strong. I know that I have, this is an area of my strength. It is like telling Sachin Tendulkar that, you're not good in batting. The fact is that he is an outstanding batsman. That's what I am. I'm an outstanding batsman in quality and safety worldwide across 200 countries and across 2,000 brands. And that's really what we try and maintain. And my role as a CEO is to be an evangelist. I don't do an active job of doing quality management or production management any longer. But I evangelize to the company that, look, it is very, very important that the trust of the consumer never be broken under any circumstances. And that's why when we relaunched Maggi, we came back to leadership within 3 months. The only example in the corporate world in consumer goods in India where a dead brand, a brand that was dead for 6 months, came back to life and leadership within 3 months.
Okay.
Mr. Raja, if you can ask your question.
Mr. Narayan, thank you so much for a very insightful presentation for a person who aspires to be an independent director in the near future. So really great framework to refer back to, taking the liberty of taking some screenshots to refer back to the notes that you kind of scribed. So my question is on, increasingly we're noticing organizations and the boards talking about environment and sustainable governance, which you touched upon in your presentation. And in your own experience in your boards, what is the level of importance that has been given that your industry might be directly impacting farmers, the environment, and water usage, etc. So how do you handle that in this context?
Very, very, very important question, Mr. Raja. Thank you for asking it. I think sustainability again. In my board, we have some very distinguished people, and therefore I think the issue of sustainability is an intrinsic part of the board discussions. As a company, for us, sustainability has been on the agenda for a long, long time. In fact, being the origin that we are, preserving the environment and minimizing the usage of water, usage of energy, creation of greenhouse gases, etc., has been on my KPI list for a long, long time. I can remember ever since I joined this company more than 20 years ago. These have been measures that we have used. So in the last 10 years, we have reduced the amount of water that we use per ton of production by 50%, the amount of energy by almost 48, 49%, the amount of greenhouse gases that we generate by almost 50%. And in fact, today we have patented technologies that use the water in the milk for CIP in our plants. So we have reduced the groundwater draw by almost 20%. We also have looked at a renewed thrust on plastics. I realize that I am generating plastics in the products that I sell. Today, I'm happy to tell you, as a company, we are plastic neutral, which means that the amount of plastic that we generate is equivalent to the amount of plastic that we collect and recycle. Now, obviously, this is a journey. This is not perfect. We could do even better than what we are doing. But all these are very much part of the agenda of the company that the board of directors also are witness to. I put it in front of them as a chair saying, look, these are the initiatives we are doing. Could you give us an additional perspective on what else we could do? It is becoming not just an environmental imperative Mr. Raja, it is becoming an imperative with consumers. Today, the generation Z and the millennials, they look at companies with hungry eyes saying, what are you guys doing for the community and for the planet? You're doing enough for shareholders. Madam Ruxana talked about, 18, 88, 89% P, 89 P, which is fine. All that is great. You're getting 88 P, your share price from 5,000 has become 20,000. It's all fantastic. But what about the environment? We are conscious of it and we are trying to do our best foot forward. Are we perfect? No. We still have a long way to go. I keep pushing my team that we have a hell of a lot of things to do. But we are getting there, and I do hope that with the support that the board also gives us in this area, we will make substantive progress.
Sir, I understand that, sorry, we have reached the limit of our scheduled time, but there are still a couple of questions. So if you allow, can we go ahead?
Maybe another 10 minutes is okay with me?
Yeah, I think that should be good enough. So I would request Mr. Rajneesh Bedi to ask his question, please.
So it taught us to go back to basics in tune with nature.
Mr. Bedi is getting cut.
Am I audible, sir? Am I audible, sir?
I'm sorry, Mr. Bedi. Could you kindly repeat your question, because we lost you in the middle?
Yeah. Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Has pandemic taught us to go back to basics in tune with nature? For example, eco-friendly, biodegradable packaging, etc., rather than predatory, consumerist, competitive growth, which enhances materialism?
I think it's a very good question, Mr. Bedi, and I think one of the biggest things that the pandemic has certainly taught me as a professional is the power of humility. I think we were assuming a lot of things and taking a lot of things for granted in the world. And since I believe, Mr. Bedi, you will understand Hindi, so allow me to quote from a doha of Kabir that I'm very fond of. Kabir had said that "Jab main tha, tab hari nahi." Jab main tha, when it's all about me and my ego, tab hari nahi. Ab hari hai main nahi. Sab andhyara mit gaya, jab deepak dekhe mahi. I think we are all, as human beings, and many of us on the call here are wizened people. We have now seen कि हरि को अंदर लाओ और मैं को बाहर फेंको. The world has got redefined. We better learn that our lives are uncertain. कौन जिएगा, कौन मरेगा, we have no idea. कल देखेंगे, परसों देखेंगे, we have no idea. अगले साल क्या होगा, we have no clue. And I think if we approach life and business and practices with humility, I think we will achieve a lot more than the hubris and the arrogance and the confidence and the certainty that has rewarded business for all this time. I think nowadays, a lot of people are talking about compassion, empathy, and human values.
Yeah.
Why is it, Mr. Bedi? अगर वही टशन होती, अगर वही confidence होती, तो क्या हम बात करते? So I think in some sense, the pandemic has taught us some very useful lessons. I only hope we don't forget it. I think the tragedy with human beings is that we forget it very quickly. And then we go back to our old ways.
Yeah, Mr. Manoj Kumar Agarwal. Please go ahead.
Yeah, good evening, sir. It's very insightful presentation I have ever had. My main question is, I just want to hear one of the best example which you consider one of the best action, whatever has been taken by the board during this pandemic time.
I think one or two of the key people actions that we took is probably the one that I would really appreciate. You know, we were one of the first companies in the consumer goods sector in India to offer COVID insurance for all the frontline distributor salespeople in this country, almost 10, 12,000 people. And that was a proposal that I had put in front of the board saying that this is something that I feel for, that I think is right. Because these are people who, unfortunately, if something happens to them, they don't have the financial strength to be able to take care of themselves and their families. And what, God forbid, Mr. Agarwal, if they die or something happens to them, who's going to take care of their family? So we said, we put our foot forward in all sincerity, and we did the COVID insurance. It still continues. I've requested the company that we continue it for a time till we know what happens on the pandemic. The same we have done for vaccination. So all the frontline people, should they not want to go to the government dispensaries for any reason, they are most welcome to come to the Nestle organized vaccinations to get themselves vaccinated. I said they may not be my employees, but they are my people. Ultimately, they are the ones who do the business of the company. Similarly, and this we called it the Nestle Suraksha program. The other program that I am very proud of is that we did a similar program for our own factory people, which is called Nestle Samman, to take care of their medical and to take care of the incentives to work during this period. The other initiative I am very proud of, and which the board also supported. This is a time when, as you know, many young people, they lost their internships, they lost their jobs, they lost, youngsters have lost 2-3 years of their lives. So we said, as a company, we should offer them internships. And I'm delighted that we offered 1,200 internships in 2020 to young graduates across the country. We offered them 1 month paid internships from the company, virtual internships. They were given working experience, they were given projects, they were given mentorships, they were given coaching on how to take care of interviews, should they be applying for jobs, how to write a good CV, how to communicate better. At least 1,200 youngsters benefited from it, and similar number will be benefiting in 2021 as well. As compared to taking 15, 20 people each year and mentoring them, we said we'll do it on a larger scale. I think, not that 1,200 people is going to rock the whole country, but if every corporate decides that we'll take 200, 300, 150 and give them the opportunity, because we have become what we are, Mr. Agarwal, because somebody had the confidence in us. मैं आज कंपनी का चेयरमैन हूं because somebody had the confidence to put his hand on my shoulder and say कि बेटा कुछ कर. And I think that is what we need to reach out to younger people today, to be able to help them to stand on their feet. And this is an initiative that I'm very proud of. It may not be great, in terms of numbers. Is it 1 million? No, it is not. 1,200. That's what we can handle as a company, and which we did as a company.
I think we are running out of time. So one last question quickly. Abhinandan Jan, if you can come in.
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Narayan. It's excellent talk that you have given, particularly about what your company has done in several years and has done in the pandemic. I have a question which is related to pandemic and independent directors, which is, I think if the stakeholders are the key for future, what would be your suggestions in terms of changes in formal reporting about, let's say, customers, employees, and others at the board level? Right now, we have committees which look at complaints which come from, let's say, shareholders. It's basically that. So that's the question. If you could throw some light on this aspect and what your company might have done about this. Thank you.
Good question, Mr. Jain. Very good question. I think you are absolutely right that as companies, we need to look at stakeholders beyond just shareholders. I think one of the things in which we try in Nestle to highlight some of the other stakeholders of the company, for me there are broadly three: customers, farmers, and employees. Because these are and in farmers I also include our small suppliers and others who feed the company with materials and services. What we try and do is at the board, we reflect on this in terms of formal presentations. How are we doing in terms of the relationship with farmers, whether it is spice farmers, whether it is milk farmers, whether it is large suppliers, small suppliers. What is the state of play as far as the channel and customers are concerned, and also what is the state of employees in the organization, in terms of attrition, in terms of feedback, in terms of challenges, etc. So this is how we engage the board. I think it comes up. We have formal sessions on business that covers most of these aspects. If not, we have separate sessions as part of our CSR committee, where some of these are reflected upon, especially the farmers part of it, because a lot of our outreach depends on the farming community, and then to evaluate and to get suggestions on what we can do to take it forward. So that's the way we're doing it, and I think it's working reasonably well. But the board is aware that this is a key area of focus of the company, and they do express, I must confess, the interest in knowing more about it.
Thank you, sir. I think, yeah, I mean, we've come to the scheduled time, and also the extra 10 minutes that we had requested. It was really an insightful discussion, and we've received lots of comments from our participants also. So thank you for the talk. On behalf of IICA and the Center for Independent Directors here, I thank you, and expect that you'll also join us in the future for similar events. I'd also like to thank all our participants for joining us today evening. So yeah, thank you, and stay safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May I take the opportunity of thanking IICA for inviting me. It has been a very inspiring session for me. I do hope that it has been worth your while, and you had some useful takeaways. If there are, then I'm delighted. If there are not, then my apologies for taking a lot of your time, and I do hope that next time I do better than what I did this time. But please stay safe, and looking forward to interacting with many of you, hopefully in person in the coming months, in the coming years. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, everyone.